A brass metronome ticks on the upright piano, its pendulum catching fog-softened lamplight. Juno Aldrete leans forward, breath hazing the glass dial as she resets it to 138. Her right hand drifts across 3 adjacent keys. The parlor door clicks closed. 40 minutes later, a silver tray settles beside a still hand. A patrol cruiser's red bar light strokes the facade of a brick and slate townhouse on Argent Hill. Nox steps out in his charcoal peacoat, Leen a step behind, tablet already open. The uniform at the door hands over a guest register. Nox turns his watch face in. Inside the warm hallway, a grandfather clock reads 10:06. The parlor smells of lemon polish and cold tea. Juno sits at the upright, slumped right, her right hand curled across 3 white keys. A drained glass of black tea rests on the piano edge. The brass metronome's pendulum is still. Its dial reads 138. Nox taps his forefinger against his thumb in a slow 3-count. The Ashvale PD morgue, pre-dawn. Doctor. Iona Hale lowers her wire-rimmed glasses and reads from her clipboard. Cardiac arrhythmia induced by a plant alkaloid, probably aconitine, ingested 10 to 20 minutes before the heart stopped. The surface reads as a simple cardiac event, and the surface is wrong. Nox does not ask her to speculate. The parlor, morning. Caleb Edgar Draper, the patron in his 50s, stands at the bay window in a navy smoking jacket, a small silver signet ring on the smallest finger of his left hand. He says he poured tea at the interval, left for the kitchen at 8:32, and returned at 8:51 to find her already gone. Nox nods once. Mara Quinn waits at the foot of the stone steps in her forest green wool coat, press badge clipped to the lapel, worn leather notebook open, a black uniball pen ready. She asks whether the Ashvale courier can confirm the pianist's name yet. Leen refuses. Mara underlines something in her notebook and does not move. Nox drifts back into the parlor alone. Sheet music lies open on the upright, the third movement of a sonata in A minor. The passage marked Dolce. The chord under Juno's right hand reads C, E, and D. The sonata carries no such cluster. Nox leans closer and studies the glass face of the brass metronome without touching it. Remi Ostrow, the accompanist in her 40s, sits with restless hands, auburn curls pinned back. She admits she had argued with Juno the Tuesday before over the encore choice. Juno had wanted an unlisted piece at the finish. During the interval, she stepped onto the stone terrace for a cigarette. A neighbor gardener on the next terrace saw her there. Nox lifts the piano bench lid. Remi's accompanist score is tucked inside. A pencil margin note in a slanted hand is underlined twice. She cannot just change the program the night of. The pencil has gouged through the staff. Nox sets the score back exactly where it was. Farah Linde, the rival pianist in her 30s, sleek black bob dove gray coat, wine-red silk scarf held at her throat. She sat 8th, back row. During the interval, she went up to the first-floor restroom. A serving staff member passed her on the landing at 8:38. A single silk thread is missing from the scarf's hem. Byron Pell, the critic in his 60s, round steel-rimmed glasses, tweed jacket, bow tie undone at his collar. He admits he had panned Juno's last album in the Ledger a year back, and that the review was harsh. He sat front row the whole evening. 3 adjacent guests corroborate. Nox thanks him without warmth. The Ashvale PD evidence bench. Rookcho, black latex gloves on both hands, logs the brass metronome into a numbered bag. He intones flat that nothing exists unless it has been bagged. He slides a high-resolution photograph of the metronome's glass face across the bench. Nox reads a faint pale curve haloing the upper rim and does not speak. The lab counter, the tall tea glass under the lens. Residue, aconitine. Trace quantity. 1 full print set belongs to the victim, a partial on the rim belongs to the host. Nox taps his forefinger against his thumb in a slow 3-count, and does not meet the tech's eye. The Draper study. Caleb stands with his back to the bay window and the fog beyond. Nox asks why the metronome was set to 138. Caleb claims Juno sets her own tempo, and he would not touch it. He turns the signet ring on his left small finger without looking. Nox notes 3 close-cut letters engraved on the silver face. Morning light through the bay window. Nox studies the sonata's open page once more. The Dolce passage resolves to an A minor chord. There is no C, E, and D cluster in its written music. He closes the score and leaves it exactly as he found it. The pendulum does not move. The minute hand holds. Leen holds the metronome photograph up under the bench lamp. A pale curve halos the upper rim of the glass, dried and thin. She asks when the ring was laid, because if it was laid before the heart stopped, the timeline breaks open. Nox answers that it was laid after. The Draper kitchen. Ellis, a serving staff in his early 20s, stands at the counter with hands folded. During the interval, the host poured tea at the parlor sideboard left at 8:32 and returned with a fresh tray at 8:51. Juno was standing there, alive, at 8:29. Leen writes the times in her notebook. Nox stands beside the upright in the empty parlor. He lays 3 photographs in sequence across the closed piano lid. Juno's right hand on CE, and D the sonata's dolce passage, the metronome's glass with its pale halo. He taps his forefinger against his thumb in a slow 3 count and does not speak. Minutes don't lie. People do. The precinct. Late afternoon. Nox sets out a vertical timeline across Leen's desk. 8:29 tea served. 8:30 aconitine onset. 8:32 host leaves. 8:35 victim sets the metronome. 8:36 victim lays the chord. 8:51 host returns. Leen reads the interval between 8:30 and 8:51 and notes that she had time. Nox slides the metronome photograph under the desk lamp. Condensation at parlor humidity dries in 12 to 15 minutes. The ring is already dry in the photograph. The only person close enough to breathe on that dial was the pianist leaning in to set the tempo. Leen says she was still at the instrument at 8:36. Nox sets the piano hand photograph beside the sonata page. A concert pianist knows every chord of her score by memory. She would not have pressed a cluster that did not belong. The 3 notes are C, E, and D. The sonata carries no such chord. Leen reads the letters in score order. CED. Nox picks up the guest register. Ostrow on the terrace, a neighbor gardener witness, her underlined pencil note angry but hers alone. Lindy on the landing at 8:38. A serving staff witness, a single scarf thread on the newel post. Hell front row the whole evening. 3 corroborators. 3 sets of initials. None of them match. 3 clean exits. Leen sets her pen down and notes the ring on the host's small finger. Nox slides a close-up photograph of the signet across the desk. 3 letters engraved on the silver face close cut. C, E, and D. Nox lays out the lab sheet and a 2-week-old festival program from the Draper study. The residue on the glass holds aconitine. The host's partial print sits on the rim, beside the program in the drawer. A private letter dated 2 years back. The host's signed transfer of his co-composer credit to Juno. Motive, means, access. Nox fans the photographs across Leen's desk in order. At 8:30, the aconitine reached the pianist's heart. At 8:35, she reset the metronome, breathing on its glass. At 8:36, she laid her right hand across C, E, and D. Ostrow on the terrace. Linde on the landing. Pell front row. One signet reads CED. Caleb Edgar Draper poured the tea. The Terraces driveway, evening, fog rolling down from the bay in low sheets. 2 patrol cruisers wait with doors open. Caleb Draper steps out of his townhouse between Leen and a uniformed officer, his hands already cuffed behind his back. A uniform reads him his rights beside the cruiser. He does not look at Nox. He does not speak. On the walk to the cruiser, Draper speaks for the first time. 2 years back at a music circle retreat, he had co-composed the encore piece Juno was about to debut and had signed his credit away in a letter he believed she had burned. He could not carry the theft at the festival. Leen takes his arm above the elbow. The cruiser door closes. The precinct bullpen, late. Leen pours 2 mugs of black coffee and slides one across the desk. Nox wraps his hands around it and does not drink. At the front counter, Mara Quinn still stands with her notebook open. Leen glances at her and does not wave her back. The parlor is empty now, fog pressed against the bay window. Every lamp off except one on the piano top. Nox stands alone beside the upright and lifts the brass metronome into his left hand, thumbs the cold glass once sets it back. The pendulum does not move. He turns his watch face in and leaves.